Laziness isn't a character flaw, it's your brain trying to protect you from wasting energy, and once you understand that, everything changes. You're not avoiding the task because you're weak, but because your mind can't clearly see a reward big enough to justify the effort. That's why the simplest way to break laziness is to shrink the first step until it becomes so easy that your brain can't argue against it. Put on your shoes instead of planning a full workout, open the book instead of promising yourself an hour of studying, pick up one item instead of deciding to clean the whole room. Once movement starts, momentum quietly takes over. The trick is to negotiate with your own mind instead of fighting it. Tell yourself, I'll do this for 5 minutes, and then I can stop. Those 5 minutes are powerful because your brain hates starting but doesn't mind continuing. Once you're already in motion, quitting becomes harder than going on. You begin to realize that motivation grows from action, not the other way around, and each small push rewires the way your brain responds to effort. You stop demanding discipline from yourself and start building flow. One of the fastest ways to break the cycle of laziness is to use emotional visualization. For just 10 seconds, imagine your life in 3 months if you start today, how you look, what you've accomplished, who you've become. Then imagine the same 3 months if you continue doing nothing. Your brain responds to emotion far more than logic, and when you let yourself feel the contrast between pride and regret, something inside you shifts. You no longer see the task as a punishment but as a doorway to the life you actually want. But even the strongest intention collapses when your environment works against you. That's why the real enemy of productivity isn't laziness, it's friction. A messy desk, a cluttered phone, confusing tasks, too many options, all of that silently drains your willpower before you even start. So make starting easy, place the book where you'll see it, prepare your clothes the night before, set up your workspace in advance, open the document before you have time to think. When the path is clear, your brain naturally chooses action over resistance. And finally, the most important shift happens when you stop calling yourself lazy. Your identity shapes your behavior. If you repeat, "I'm lazy," your brain will act accordingly because it wants to stay consistent with the story you tell yourself. Replace that story with a new one: "I'm someone who takes small steps, I show up, I do things even if I don't feel like it." Combine this identity shift with tiny actions, emotional visualization, and low-friction environments, and laziness simply stops being a factor in your life. You don't need motivation, you just need to flip the switch, and once you do, everything else follows.